My name is William Kumwembe. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the program Business Time. This is a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And in the program today, we speak to an economic expert who weighs in on the volatility of the country's economy vis-a-vis prospects for recovery and sustainable growth thereafter. Also in the program, 1.2 billion fertilizer plant to start in the country. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome. This is Business Time. In our main story in the program today, for quite some time, Malawi has been grappling with a number of challenges that have had a knockdown effect on prospects for growth. The country has lately seen elevated cost of living, high inflation, as well as high interest rates, and most recently, the scarcity of fuel and forex, which has had a knockdown effect on most sectors of the economy. The question that has always been there is, what does the future hold considering the status quo? I caught up with Bechani Cheleni, who is an economist and economics professor at the Malawi University of Business and Applied Sciences, to find out his impression of the current state of affairs as well as what the future holds. Firstly, the local economy has been going through some what I would call rough patches, characterized by elevated cost of living, high inflation, not to mention lately the forex and fuel scarcity, even elevated interest rates. The obvious question that I'll put across to you, Prof, is, are there any quick fixes to these problems?
Quick fixes, no. Let's be as frank as we can be, because the problems that we are facing now are structural in nature more than anything else. So when you look at what we have gone through as a country, we are not producing enough for us to survive on our own. We are not exporting enough as well for us to generate the foreign exchange that we need for us to get, for example, the strategic commodities. That will be the fuel, drugs, and many other things. And we have also seen an economy which is not industrialized in nature, still very much dependent on subsistence agriculture. So for us to come to quick fixes, it is going to be in a way short-term or relief. We can get some loans in dollar terms, because we must remember that we may have the kwachas, but for us to have some of the basic necessities that we need the foreign reserves, and that's what we don't have now. So for us to get that, it's either we are going to export something which we don't have as yet, or we are going to get some people to maybe assist us in two ways. It can be through a grant of some sort, or indeed a quick loan, which we can get. And all eyes are on the IMF with the rapid credit facility, that maybe we can get something from there. And my quick calculation shows that the maximum we can get from there, it's around 178 million US dollars, which would be enough to keep us going for about maybe 4 weeks, six weeks, or maybe 2 months max, if we are going to bring in all the whole thing about the import budget that we need.
Putting all these challenges together, they entail instability of the economy. And if you look at its impact on businesses and the economy at large, what does it mean?
Yeah, look, instability is a very bad animal. That's why you have got a very big organization with people very much educated, forming the Reserve Bank of Malawi, and their job is to make sure that there's a stability in the economy, macroeconomic stability. It's because we realize that macroeconomic stability is everything. If you're going to attract foreign investors, we have to be a stable economy. If you're going to attract, even if you're going to, incentivize people from within to be industrialists, or maybe to go into the service industry, for them to be entrepreneurs, we need to have a very, very stable environment. Also planning. planning. You cannot plan in an economy where stability is not available. And that stability, by the way, must not be a cosmetic stability. It has to be a real stability. You must know that we are stable at this level. It might be a higher and palatable, not a very, very desirable level, but at least that stability is very important.
Some, if not all, of these challenges that we are talking about, you've even alluded to earlier on, seem to be structural in nature. Talk of forex scarcity. It's not a new thing, except that maybe the magnitude might have changed. We have had experiences of dry fuel pumps in the country, the most recent one being 2012. We seem not to be drawing lessons from past experiences as an economy.
Unfortunately, one can actually see to it that, if a friend of mine told me, he's Ghanaian, he told me that if you want to learn, go to Malawi. They are the best teachers, they are the best speakers, they are the best talk show people. We talk a lot and we are very good at that. Summits, conferences, we are very good at that. But when it comes to let's do this thing, we fail somehow. We fail. I don't know why we fail. We've got a Vision 2063. I highlighted recently that there are already low-hanging fruits that we have failed to capture. This, we are supposed to have a development bank by the end of 2022, for instance, and this is October. We don't have even a talk about a development bank, or let alone a development corporation. There's no talk, not even a paper on the ground to show that some people are doing some work. That means we're not serious with what we want to do. The structure of the economy needs to change, and look at this, Bill. I've always said that if you find a guy who's always wearing bright, nice suits, bright neckties every time, and they are looking so smart, so nice, be careful about whether they are working or not. My view is that they are not working. They're spending too much time thinking about how they look out there. For me, it's about data. Let's data in our hands. Let's get to the ground to work. That's what we need.
Considering the status quo, all things being equal, what is a lasting remedy to these problems that the country is facing as we speak?
Look, we've got some of the best plans, some of the best policies, some of the best, strategies. We have them in Malawi. And for me, we don't need to come up with another strategy or another policy or another a plan. We already have those. If only we can get people who are serious with the implementation of what we already have on paper, this country has got a very, very bright future. But you have seen the IMF and they go to the IMF meetings. They have actually slashed the growth rate for Malawi for the next 2 years. We are not even reaching 4%. That's bad, because remember that for the Vision 2063 we have to be growing by a minimum of 6.6% per annum on average, and we are not achieving that. If we are growing by 1.9%, 2.5%, it means that by 2030 we can't really be sure that we are going to be a lower middle income country, and by 2063 we are going to be an upper middle income country. We can't be sure about that. But if somebody can just come there with that leadership stamina to say that we are pushing for people to go to work, for people to work. If you can't work, go away. We don't need you in our system.
Pechan Chelen there, an economics professor at the Malawi University of Business and Applied Sciences, Mubasi, weighing in on the current state of affairs in as far as the economy is concerned. Remember, this is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And my name is William Kumwembe. The Rural Development Investment Holdings Limited has announced the commencement of its investment initiative of about 1.2 billion kwacha, which is an organic fertilizer production and processing plant in Blantyre. It is believed that once it is concluded, the plant would have a positive impact on the cost of fertilizer in the country and further improve output of agricultural commodities. Bofomo Nyirenda is the group's chairperson. He caught up with our journalist Chimwemwe Mangazi on the state of affairs.
So the first machinery which we have procured from China is a 3 metric ton per hour production capacity. And that is the first machine which we intend to put up. Depending on its successes, the idea is that we run these kind of machines across all agricultural districts in Malawi with the sole purpose of ensuring that a significant portion of our import, also of our fertilizer requirements, should be produced by Malawians themselves. Like I say, this is the first of its kind. It's a 3 metric ton capacity machinery with possibility that if it works on full-time basis, we should be able to get around 25,000 metric tons in a year. Okay, so the challenges that Root David is experiencing will be usual when it comes to investments. To begin with, when you look at Root David, is a greenfield investment. That is to say, starting from zero. It's just an idea which has been financed by people's pockets. People can only commit capital in as far as they are able to risk it. Okay, so if he thinks like, I only have 20,000 which I don't care about, I can actually invest. That's what they've been doing. But now, seeing what is happening, the whole landscape has changed. People are now actually coming and actually getting into us, getting to wanting actually to invest even more into Root David. We're now seeing corporates actually talking to us to try and find out how best they can actually find themselves actually getting shares into Root David, because they have realized that there is now potential of getting it into its right space. The challenges right now, I will be saying that this importation we're talking about has been largely delayed because of the forex challenges. We couldn't actually remit the first payment which was required by the manufacturer to start really production of the machinery until such a time when we were able to raise the required deposit. And then subsequent to that, again, even to pay for the final payment was equally a challenge. You all agree with me, the forex is the talk of the day right now. The back of the projects that we are doing are such that we are import substitutes. So we are substituting that, and for us to substitute that, we must have the right machinery, which will mean a lot of imports must actually come in. So that forex, as I can talk to you right now, is our major challenge that we'll be experiencing. That said, we are aware of the intermittent power supply challenges with ESCOM, load shedding and the like. Although our machinery is able to produce that much, but if we are only given power for 7 hours in a day, or maybe 12 hours in a day, it is very unlikely that we will be able to get our machinery working at full capacity. So that is what we anticipate is going to happen. And for that reason, the directors are keen to look at alternative ways of powering up the place apart from just relying on ESCOM. So that you come to know when it's actually done. But we are seriously looking into that kind of challenge which we are foreseeing coming up. So here we are. When we set up Root David, one of our objectives was to create employment. As you can see, at a certain point, to construct this fence within a period of 2 months cannot be easy. You can't even believe it. You'll be wondering to say, how has this contractor done it? He created employment for people around this area who have been working in, day out to get us this far. We were informed at a certain point that he had over 100 persons that are working on this particular fence. But for us, in terms of the full-time persons, we're talking about, we need the security guards that are going to be working here full-time. We will need the machine operators that are going to be working full-time in here. We will need other persons that will even be involved in the supply of materials. And this will be new employment being created. In any case, when you look at this place was a bush, suddenly now we've got something, which means there will be a lot of other economic activities around this place which would never have been there without this thinking of Root David. And by the way, when you look at Root David, the word is rural. So all our projects are rural concentrated. They are not going to be in town. They will be in the rural side, so that we can actually create employment in the rural, but all the same, we are actually trying to support the sustainable development goals as a private sector initiative to say what is it that we're actually doing. So we have the resources around, we have the people around we can talk about, and we are saying, let's invest. All we're looking for is capital. So the little money which is sitting in the individual pockets is what has made this thing to happen. I think it's a typical example that you can demonstrate to say, by myself, I wouldn't have done this thing. But look at how many persons now have actually put into it. So we are talking quite big numbers of persons here that have put their small amounts. Now we have something we can actually show to the world to say there is something that is coming out of togetherness. So Malawians can learn to come together and put up and rather run their economy. Put it like that.
Later, Chimwemwe also caught up with Beatrix Mosiwa Ndovi, who is one of the directors at Root David, who says the company has been grappling with a number of challenges, including forest scarcity.
It is very difficult, for people in Malawi to come together and, work together and for such a huge project. But I think there's been general realization that given the challenges that we are facing, it will not be just the government, to find solutions for the challenges that we are facing, but also as an individual, you cannot do it alone. Looking at the type of investment that we are looking at in this company, it will require a lot of funds, and therefore it cannot be one person who can make that type of contribution. And we rely on everyone else, to be a party to this initiative and also make things happen. Yes, I would like to believe so. Looking at the setup that we've put in, we're looking at an individual contributing at least a minimum of 10,000 shares. We've looked at the population, of the country, and we've also looked at the sites that we intend to put up these initiatives. We are targeting the rural masses, and what that means is looking at the country's population, and when we work backwards, on the numbers based on the minimum of 10,000 shares, we are quite confident that this 1 billion can actually be realized in the shortest period of time. For the organic fertilizer plant, pretty much 3 as a start. We're targeting each region, the north, the central, as well as the south. But as you are aware, the organic fertilizer plant is not the only initiative in Rudevit. There are also other initiatives, but we have taken a view that we need to start with one first, and once we are successful with that project, then we can move on to the next.
Now, in other business news, for quite some time, Malawi has been touted as an agrarian economy, meaning agriculture is the backbone of the economy, but its input to the national gross domestic product has somewhat remained minimal, as farmers, who are the main contributors to the sector or in the sector, continue to face a number of challenges. In this report, we take you through some of the challenges that dairy farmers have been facing that is affecting their progress and their endeavors towards contributing substantially to the national economy.
Dairy farmers from Mangunda Milk Backing Group in Tiolo district have no kind words for agencies responsible for generation and supply of electricity, stressing that they are being rendered destitute despite efforts to develop their trade. They indicate that since January this year, they have lost over 80,000 liters of milk due to power outages. Elias Pilingo is treasurer for Mangunda Milk Backing Group and explains.
Panopa ndi ubali ndi aliyongedere amene amatitengera nkaka wathu. Choncho ifeyo timalandira nkaka.
We work with Lilongwedere, which buys milk from us. Currently, we are facing a lot of challenges, including consistent power outages, which result in our milk going bad.
Magesi agumati matima rudi yathu ino wambiri masiku ambiri makhati kutaya nkaka.
The challenge has also affected milk processing companies, which have been forced to reduce their production capacity. March Milk Company representative Madalitso Charles Piri holds that they are currently operating at below 50% of their capacity.
No, the business is going on well. Of course, our main challenge currently is the capital, electricity. Basically that's the main challenge that we are facing. But in terms of the business is going on very well, and people have received our milk powder very much, and we're even failing, to meet the demand. There are two things. One is the blackout issues, and the second thing is the load that we have been given by ESCOM. It cannot match with the machinery that we have here. So every time that we start production, you see the meter tripping off because we are using more power and the like. So these two issues to do with the energy, some of the challenges that we are facing here as a company. We've engaged ESCOM, and they've given us a bill about close to 5 million just to upgrade our electricity here. Of course, we are coming from a background whereby you also incurred a huge investment in terms of bringing power here. of about 30-something million. So plus this 5 million to us as a local indigenous, small scale business, it's a huge blow.
There is need for the authorities to act with speed in restoring electricity supply to preserve such promising sectors as the dairy industry.
Well, that report also brings us to the end of today's edition of the program Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is William Kumwembe. Always remember, if it doesn't make money, then it doesn't make sense. Stay safe and bye for now.